Welcome to Kickin with the Rickens, redefining retirement. Gerry, Ricken, and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you retire with purpose and live with joy. Find more information, including how to reach the team, in today's show notes. Now, Kickin with the Rickens, powered by Ricken Financial. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening to Kickin with the Rickens podcast. We are here with retirement planner Heidi Ricken Provost and licensed insurance professional Gerry Ricken. My name is Mark Owens. We invite you to get more at rickenfinancial.com. You can get all the information here in the show notes. Thanks again for subscribing. Now, let's get to the show. Gerry, Heidi, how's this weekend treating you?
So far, so good. We finally have a little bit of fall, so I can't complain because I am not a summer person.
And I love fall as well.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
We last weekend, we put up all the Halloween decorations at the house, and this is Old Man Owens complaining. I did not realize how sore I would get going up and down a ladder 30 times hanging up Ghost. I mean, for 3 days, I'm limping around the house like, oh, God, my back hurts and my knee hurts. And
I feel you because my trainer had me do some exercises on a ladder going up and down, and my quads were on fire for like 4 days. I was going up a ladder and down into a lunge and then doing a squat until my back end touched one of the steps on the ladder and then into a lunge. So those ladders, they'll get the best of you.
Thankfully, I haven't been on a ladder lately. So.
I just burned 200 calories listening to that story. So good on you, Heidi. Hey, by the way, milestone birthday.
Yeah, we just celebrated my mom's 95th birthday with her.
Happy 95th, Marianne.
My Grammy, she turned 95 years old, and apparently it's the first of a couple milestones with her because she shared with us that she's hanging in there till she hits 100. So we'll see.
How was the party?
It was a very nice, relaxing day because Sheila and I took her in the car. She wanted to go to Lone Elk Park, so we drove around Lone Elk Park, saw the elk, the bison, and just had a wonderful day, and then ended with ice cream at Silky's on Olive. So
and I got to go meet up with her and wish her a happy birthday while she enjoyed some ice cream.
I was really hoping you were going to say like bar shots, riding the bull at the bar, up all night, karaoke, all that good stuff. Maybe.
No, that would have been my grandpa. That would have been Grandpa Willie. That would have been my dad. So
yeah, my Grandpa Willie made it a week shy of 95.
Oh.
And had he been in he was in great health until the last month of his life. But had he made it to 95, that would have been his 95th. He probably would have. He also he wanted to go zip lining.
He wanted to go zip lining. He wanted to go skydiving. He
wanted to go zip lining and skydiving. And he probably would have been the one. We'll share some clips with Grandpa Willie here.
Dancing on the bar. Well, you can meet the entire team at rickenfinancial.com, RICKEN, rickenfinancial.com. Put faces to the voices that you hear every weekend here on Kickin with the Rickens, or feel free to call at any time, 314-207-6211. We have a representative sitting by right now and throughout the weekend as well. But Heidi, Gerry, let's go to class, man. Take me to school. We're going to talk about Retirement 101 this weekend, and we're going to cover Social Security versus a pension, an annuity, Medicare versus Medicaid. Let's talk about all that. But let's kick it off here by talking about a 401k versus an IRA in Retirement 101.
A lot of people have a lot of money saved in 401ks or 403bs or TSP plans. Those
457s or
those employer-sponsored plans. So at the end of the day, the tax status is not going to be different from a traditional IRA or 401k or 403b or any of those other plans. But we did want to talk about the differences between the two, because if your money is in an IRA versus, one of your employer-sponsored plans, the money is treated a little bit differently, and how much you can contribute to it is a little different. And,
what you can invest in.
Exactly. So we thought we'd kind of break it down a little bit for you. Those employer-sponsored plans, you can contribute a decent amount of money into them while you're working. And to the effect of, if you're 50 years or older, then right now you can contribute about a little over $30,000 a year into that.
Yeah, it's $31,000 for 2025.
Keep in mind, these numbers are always going to be changing because they're dictated by the IRS. So as we all know, the only constant in tax law is change.
Yeah,
That's
true.
exactly right.
Mm-hmm. But you can put a significant amount of money in a 401k or an employer-sponsored plan for your future versus if you have an IRA, you're capped out at $8,000 if you're the same age. So not as much juice in the turnip as my grandpa would have said. You can't put as much away for the future in those two. That's just the beginning of the differences while you're working because you're socking money away for the future in these plans for one reason. So you can accumulate your nest egg for the future. So what's going to be the differences when it comes to your investments, Gerry?
When you're in a 401k, you have maybe 10 to 20 mutual fund type options. A lot of those are target funds where they blend funds together based upon your targeted retirement date, but you're very limited in what you can do and how you can invest when you're in the 401k environment. In an IRA, the world is your oyster. You can invest in almost anything imaginable, even real estate, commodities, gold, silver, all those types of things that aren't otherwise available in 401k. So it just widens the broad spectrum of investment opportunities when you convert from a 401k to an IRA. And when can you do that, Heidi?
Well, when you're separated from your employer, your funds are yours and you're free to do with them what you please. So at any point in time, if you leave a job, you can take that money that's in your employer-sponsored plan and convert it to an IRA. What does that mean? If it's sitting in a 401k, 403b, TSP plan, something like that, you can convert it from that to an IRA without any form of taxation. So that can happen if you separate from your employer, or if you're over the age of 59 and a half and the plan allows it, then you can get full control by moving it from your employer-sponsored plan to your own IRA as well.
And we've seen multiple plans that offer that at 59 and a half to move your entire balance. Some plans, you'll get to remove what you contributed. Some plans won't allow you to move anything, but most plans do allow you to move from that 401k employer-sponsored plan to your own IRA, so you can be truly in charge of that. The other opportunity there too is getting more professional management and hands-on management of that account, because in your 401k, you do have a manager out there. You have a financial planner out there, actually a financial manager, but most people have never spoken to that person because they're on the other end of an 800 number. You've never met them, but occasionally you can call in and find whoever that is, and it's probably a pool of people, and maybe talk about your allocations. But that's about as far as it goes when it comes to any management of a 401k. With an IRA, you can work with Heidi and I, and actually we will let you know everything that's available out there for you to meet your risk tolerance.
Yeah. So if you're sitting here, maybe you have or you haven't met with whoever's helping you manage that 401k, but all you have is your employer-sponsored plan and you don't have a plan.
It's called a plan.
It's called an employer-sponsored plan, but really it's just an investment. You've just socked money away into it for the future, but you don't have a plan of what you're going to do with it. That's the point in time you need to be talking to a financial advisor who can step in and assist you in planning proactively for your financial future. So if all you have is some investments right now and you don't even, maybe you do fully understand them, maybe you don't fully understand them, but you don't have a plan for what to do with them in the future, that's when someone like us can step in and assist you in putting together a financial plan for the future. So if you're interested in that, we'd love to take you through the purpose approach, where we look at your 401ks, your 403bs, your TSP plans. Maybe you do have some old IRAs too. And we put the plan in place for how those monies are going to help you in your financial future, because you worked really hard for them. It's time for them to work for you for your retirement. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, we'd love to talk to you. You just simply need to reach out at 314-207-6211 or head over to rickenfinancial.com. But again, 314-207-6211. We'll have a little chat with you and begin the process to see how this investment can turn into a plan for you for the future.
You know, a lot of people ask about the tax planning or the tax implications of a 401k versus an IRA. And we've talked about this in the past too. There is an opportunity when you are taking required minimum distributions. That's the amount that the IRS dictates you to take out of these plans when you turn a certain age. You can't take advantage of eliminating some of that from taxable income if it is in a 401k. It has to be an IRA form for you to take a qualified charitable distribution. So if you're charitably inclined, you really need to talk to us about what that really means so you can eliminate or lower your taxation in retirement.
You may have some 401ks or 403bs or something like that hanging around. And a lot of people might say, hey, there's pretty low fees to keep these things around, so we're going to hang on to them. But you might be missing out on some tax opportunity here. So at the end of the day, let's meet and have a conversation and see if there's something you can be doing to more proactively plan for your future and get ahead of the situation when it comes to your taxation. We'd love to do that, but we simply just need to have a conversation to get started.
And let's talk about some Roth opportunities that could help with our tax strategies.
So we mentioned the difference between a 401k and an IRA. And one thing we failed to talk about were the different tax classifications that you could have within your IRA portfolio or your employer-sponsored plan portfolio. So there's two basic differences. One is called a Roth and the other is called a traditional.
The Roth option is a way to optimize your overall tax strategy. And when I say optimize, here's what I'm talking about. You can take after-tax money, put it into the Roth option, it grows tax-free, and when you take the money out of that account,
as long as you're over the age of 59 and a half and it's been in Roth form for 5 years,
it will be tax-free. The 401k world out there originally started with just the traditional option. There were no Roth options out there.
And the traditional option, as you may or may not be aware, is when you contribute to your traditional funds, if it's in your employer-sponsored plan, you get a little bit of a tax break. So it's pre-tax money that goes in there. And then over the course of time, it's going to have growth and compounded interest. And in the future, when you pull that money out, all of it becomes taxable to you at whatever your tax rate is at the point in time that you make those withdrawals.
At ordinary income tax rates, which are higher than capital gains rates.
And, those traditional funds are the ones where you have your required minimum distributions that have to come out. So if you're born 1960 or thereafter at age 75, the IRS will dictate how much money has to come out so you can pay the tax on that. If you're born before 60, 73 is going to be that, key age for you where you're going to have to take some money out of that. But sorry, just thought I'd mention that's what traditional is. But, we were mentioning something else.
Absolutely. Traditional versus Roth. When you look at your 401k account, and early on in the 401k world, there wasn't a Roth option. It wasn't until Congress changed that rule that we had the Roth option. Now we have a Roth option in every 401k in existence. So everyone should actually examine that to see if it's the best option for you. And when you look at that, you want to ask yourself, is it better for me to pay a little bit of tax now and not pay tax on any of the growth in the future? Or do I want a little bit of a tax break now and then I pay tax on the entire growth of the future? I prefer, if it's my account, to use the Roth option because paying taxes now, we don't know what taxes are going to be in the future. We know we have a big deficit in this country and we have low tax rates now, but nothing is permanent in tax law. The only constant is change in tax law. I'd like to see a raise of hands of anyone who thinks that taxes are going to be decreased in the future for the rest of our lives. Whenever I ask that in front of an audience, no one raises their hand. Everyone truly does believe that eventually we're going to see higher taxes, and higher taxes means higher taxes on the money you're going to be pulling out of those traditional accounts.
And I want to talk about a couple common misconceptions here because as we prepare the tax returns for our clients and we talk through, tax strategy, there is some misinformation out here. So there's a difference between a Roth 401k or employer-sponsored plan and a Roth IRA. And the biggest difference between the two is dictated by the IRS, okay? So if you have your own IRA, Roth IRA, and you want to contribute to that, you're subject to income limitations if you want to contribute to that by the IRS. If you have a Roth option in your employer-sponsored plan, There are no income limitations as of now in our tax law. There are no income limitations. If you have the option in your employer-sponsored plan, it doesn't matter how much money you make. You can put your contributions into your Roth at your employer-sponsored plan. If you know what I'm talking about, or you have some questions about this because you don't know what I'm talking about, we would love to look at your plan and help you figure out if those income limitations are going to affect you or not, or how you might be able to save for your future. So we'd love to have the conversation at 314-207-6211, 314-207-6211. And we can kind of peel back that curtain and show you, are you going to be subject to income limitations or not? But I do want to get ahead of that part of the story because so many people think, oh, I make too much money. I can't put money in my Roth at work. Well, it doesn't matter how much money you make in this world. If you have a Roth option at work, you are eligible to contribute to that Roth. Your employer will put their money in your traditional if they're going to match that money, but your money can go into the Roth.
And not only that, but you can put money in the Roth and without income limitations. And if you're over the age of 50 for 2025, you can put $31,000 into that Roth account in your 401k. But if you have a Roth IRA, the limit is $8,000.
So there are a few little differences when it comes to, whether it's an employer-sponsored plan or an IRA when we're talking Roth or traditional. But at the end of the day, here's the gist. Traditional funds are going to cost more tax in the future because we have to pay tax on the growth. Roth funds, you pay tax on the investment at the beginning, not on the growth. And if it can grow tax deferred and be pulled out tax-free, at the end of the day, more likely than not, you're probably going to be spending less in taxation if you start off with a Roth versus a traditional. That's really the gist. But every single person we meet is going to have a different answer, whether Roth or traditional makes sense for them. So let's chat and see what makes sense for you.
I liken it to harvesting. Growing up in Kansas, the wheat harvest was during the summer. And would you rather pay tax on the seed that you planted or the harvest that you receive in the summer? Same thing with the corn country around here. Would you rather pay tax on the seeds of corn that you put versus the corn that you harvest about this time of year? So if you'd like to talk to us about the whole taxation and what Roth means versus traditional, all the limitations out there, what's really fitting in your wheelhouse from a tax planning perspective, call us at 314-207-6211, or just look at rickenfinancial.com, reach out to us, and we'd love to have that chat.
Been talking a lot about 401k versus an IRA, a Roth, but now let's get heavy into Roth conversions. And it's something and a conversation we need to have sooner than later, Heidi.
Well, we talked about what the difference between a traditional and a Roth would be when it comes to the money that you're saving for the future. But one thing we failed to mention, a majority of the funds in America that are saved for our financial future are in those traditional accounts. So it might be in your employer-sponsored plans or in an IRA. But if you have traditional, you know that in the future, when the money comes out, you have to pay tax on it. If you're sitting here and you're born after 1960 and you have quite a few years until you turn age 75, you do have an opportunity to do what's called a Roth conversion. So you can take a portion of those traditional funds that you've saved for the future, pay the tax on them today. And if you're over the age of 59 and a half, the funds themselves can pay the tax. If you're under 59 and a half, got to come out of pocket to pay the tax here. And those after-tax dollars can be transferred to Roth so that as long as they sit there for 5 years and you're over the age of 59 and a half, whenever you touch those, they're going to become tax-free to you. It's called a Roth conversion, and it seems to be a buzzword in our industry. Everyone's saying Roth conversions are the greatest in the world. Everyone should convert everything to Roth conversions. There's a lot of talking heads out there. Let me tell you, every single person we have met with has a different answer for whether a Roth conversion works for them. And if so, how much to convert to Roth, because it's going to be based upon your personal tax plan.
Just like when you look at your index finger, you each have a fingerprint there. Your tax plan and your tax strategy is different. It's a fingerprint. It's different for you and your spouse if you're married, or for you individually, than anyone else in the world. So it's very, very important to take a deep dive down into what that really means. What do your investments look like? What kind of income will you have in retirement? Will you have a pension? How do you claim Social Security benefits? All those things add into your whole overall tax strategy. So when is the most optimal time to convert from traditional to Roth? That question is an individual question. There isn't a blanket answer. Do you convert 100%? Our answer to that is probably not, because you can have a certain amount in traditional and still be tax-free in retirement. And that's our overall goal, is to get our clients tax-free at some point, sooner rather than later, in their retirement years. Whether you're born before 1960 or after 1960, the Roth conversions differ in one thing, and that is a couple of years. If you're born before 1960, 73 is your magic number. If you're born after 1960, 75 is that magic number for when the IRS dictates when you take money out. So if you'd like to learn more about that whole process, please call us at 314-207-6211 or hit us up at rickenfinancial.com.
Gerry mentioned something earlier. Is there going to be an opportune time to do this? Well, yes and no, but I'll tell you, if you're sitting here and you might have some wiggle room left in your tax bracket this year, you can proactively plan what your taxation is going to look like in 2025. And if you have some space left in there to do a Roth conversion, yeah, it might make some sense to take advantage of that now. It takes a little bit of time to put together a tax plan and see if you have some wiggle room to do a conversion this year. But there is one caveat I want to share, that we do think there is an optimal time of when you can do a Roth conversion, and that is the timing throughout the year. If you're making a conversion in November, December, towards the end of the year, yeah, that's great. But why not start in January of every year and do some conversions? Because that means you're going to have 11 to 12 months throughout the year of compounded interest and growth that you don't have to pay tax on now. So if your goal is to get ahead of the taxation for the future, the sooner you make those conversions, the better off your money is going to be in the end. So if you want to know if a conversion makes sense for you, how to take advantage of the rest of this year and put together that proactive tax plan so that come January, you're prepared and know if you should be converting some money to Roth and how much, if it falls into your plan. Let's have a conversation today, because it takes a little bit of time to put that plan together. And that way you can get ahead of the story come January. We'd love to have that conversation and begin the plan. You just need to give us a call at 314-207-6211. We also mentioned earlier, you want to convert something to Roth. Maybe that works for you, maybe it doesn't. But why would we not convert the entire amount? There are ways to have withdrawals from your 401ks and IRAs in the future without having to pay tax on it. You can proactively plan the taxation so that when money is coming in, maybe you fall underneath the guidelines that your income is not going to be taxable. Well, what if you have a required minimum distribution in the future coming out of an IRA, Dad, that you might want to reduce some taxation on? What can you take advantage of?
One of the things you can take advantage of is if you are required minimum distribution age, and that's 73 and 75, as we just mentioned, what you can do is, if you're charitably inclined, you can take advantage of something called a qualified charitable distribution. A qualified charitable distribution meets the definition and the guidelines of your required minimum distribution. And here's how that works. Let's say you give $5,000 to charities throughout the year. What you can do is take $5,000 of your RMD amount, direct that to charities, and not have to pay tax on that by using a qualified charitable distribution. It's a simple plan, and a lot of people don't take advantage of that because they are not aware of that. Otherwise, you'll take the required minimum distribution, pay your tax on it, then after-tax money is used to give it to your charitable causes. Why not take advantage of that and make sure that you're taking advantage of what's available to you in the tax code to reduce your taxable income? So if you're interested in finding out more, call us at 314-207-6211. That's 6211. Or just type in rickenfinancial.com on your phone, on your computer, and we're available 24/7 there. So just reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. One of the things that we'd also like to talk about is people say, well, why would I Roth convert? One of the reasons is because of taxation of Social Security. Social Security, people don't think that it's taxed because they thought it was a tax when you paid it in. So Social Security is taxed when it's coming out. So Heidi, why don't we talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So that is a common misconception. And a lot of people will say, well, Social Security was a tax I paid back in the day, so it's not going to become taxable. Or more often than not, what we hear lately is, I thought when they passed that bill thing that my Social Security is not going to be taxable anymore. Unfortunately, that did not get passed in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It was something that they wanted to try to pass, but they weren't able to push off taxation of Social Security. So at the end of the day, if you're a high wage earner, 15% of your Social Security benefits can be free of taxation.
Under current law.
Yeah, let's share that caveat one more time. We know this is tax law. It can change at any point in time. As of today, if you don't make very much money, then your Social Security may or may not be taxable. So the way that Social Security taxation works is they're going to take half of your Social Security benefits, add all the other streams of income you have to that, plus interest on municipal bonds, which has no taxation, but gets added into here. And if you make basically over $30,000, 50% of your benefits are going to be taxable. If you make about $40,000 or more, 85% of your benefits are going to become taxable to you. So there's a way to reduce the taxation of Social Security if you don't have to have large required minimum distributions coming into you in the future, but you just have to have a little bit of time to plan for it so that you can reduce some of the taxation of Social Security in the future. And if you have a little bit of time and you want to put that plan together, we'd love to put that plan together with you. Just give us a call at 314-207-6211. Or if you have questions about Social Security, how it's going to affect your taxation, or where you fall in line with the taxation of Social Security, we'd love to chat about that as well. The other tax that a lot of people have been hung up on lately when it comes to Roth conversions, well, it's not your great aunt, but it's something called IRMA.
And I don't have an Aunt Irma, but my mom's maiden name was Net, and I actually had an Aunt Clarinet. First name Clara, last name Net. But I don't have an Aunt Irma. But Heidi, talk to us about Irma.
Is that real or is that a
Yes,
Gerryism?
no, that's actually real.
That's very real.
Here's the sad part. I never know with Gerry if he's being honest or if he's just throwing the Gerryisms out there, but there really is an Aunt Clarinet.
You know, Mark, for about 15 years, I thought that was a dad joke. God bless her, and may she be resting in peace.
Right.
My grandma Dolores, my dad's mom, most wonderful human being I've ever met in my entire life. I did not believe that there was a Clara Net until Grandma said yes.
Yes,
there was.
True.
I thought Dad was just pulling our leg.
That's
but
fantastic.
Aunt Clarinet.
All right, well, let's sing a tune about Aunt Irma and our love-hate relationship with her. Tell me about it.
Well, IRMA is a hidden tax, as we like to call it, because IRMA is the name of how much money gets to come out of your Social Security benefits and or your pocket to pay for Medicare. So the amount of money you need to pay for your portion of Medicare, not your supplement or anything like that, but your portion of Medicare tax for covering you for your health insurance when you're over the age of 65. It's called IRMA. And, you know, some people might be curious about IRMA for one reason. They'll do a Roth conversion and your income might increase because of the Roth conversion. It's going to, because it'll be higher than your typical income. And they'll say, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to have to pay extra IRMA for a year or two, because it's based upon last 2 years of income taxes, how much you have to pay for your Medicare premiums. Well, you know, I can understand that one if you don't want to pay more than the bare minimum or what you're used to paying for IRMA. But would you rather decrease IRMA for the next few years and then let your funds continue to grow and grow and grow? And then when you're taking your required minimum distributions, pay more IRMA for the rest of your life? You could be 95 like my mom's mom is right now. She never thought she'd live that long. None of us are in control of that. We don't have a crystal ball. At the end of the day, don't let IRMA hold you back from making a financial decision today, because if it were me, I would rather pay increased IRMA for a couple years versus maybe 30, 40 years of my retirement. If you want to know how much it would affect you, how much you're going to have to pay in IRMA, or what on earth I'm even talking about, Give me a call at 314-207-6211. Let's put some time together and see how not great aunt, but Irma, when it comes to your Medicare premiums, is going to be affecting you for the future. And let me ask you this question, Gerry, because there's a lot of misinformation here too. And some people get Medicare and Medicaid confused. What is Medicare?
Let's step back. If we're working before age 65, most of us, I hope all of us, have health insurance coverage. Health insurance coverage, you go to the doctor, you pay a copay, you have a deductible, you pay your premiums, maybe it's taken out of your paycheck on a monthly, weekly basis, however you get paid. So this is a program administered by the federal government called Medicare. And Medicare replaces your health care coverage at age 65. That is the requirement. The only requirement to satisfy for Medicare is turning age 65. At age 65, you're eligible for the government administered programs called Medicare. In addition to what the government, you can get through the government programs, you also have the opportunity to purchase a supplemental or an advantage type plan to cover all of your other costs, including drugs.
Because at the end of the day, Medicare is the insurance provided by the government, but it doesn't cover absolutely everything. So Medicare plus an advantage or a supplement plan is going to cover you for your health insurance when you're age 65 and beyond. And as Gerry mentioned, as long as you're age 65, you qualify. So that one is just based upon your age. I will tell you, we've had a lot of people meet with us lately, and we're having a conversation about health for the future. We're having a conversation about long-term care, and they'll say, well, I know I'm covered for long-term care because my Medicare supplement covers me for that. Let's get ahead of that misconception as well. There are no Medicare supplements in the world that cover you for long-term care. You can get some short care, in like a skilled facility or a step-down unit after the hospital. But Medicare is not going to step in for long-term care because there's something else out there in the government that does step in the event you need long-term care, and that is
Medicaid.
Think Medicare equals healthcare. Medicaid is aid for the elderly or the poor. So Medicaid would be what steps in for long-term care needs in the future if you qualify there. That one, there's no qualification based on age. There's qualification based on income and assets.
Yes, need. It's difficult to qualify for. So if you'd like to learn how to qualify for that, just call us at 314-207-6211 or reach out at rickenfinancial.com. But there are other ways to cover long-term care expenses besides qualifying for Medicaid, because Medicaid, you have to basically spend down all of your assets and be impoverished.
Or on paper, you have to be impoverished if you have moved everything into a trust at least 5 years prior to needing Medicaid, and you're not in control of your assets anymore. And at the end of the day, I like to be in control of my assets. The other thing is Medicaid is different state to state. Now, you're listening right now because you're in the state of Missouri, or you might be in the state of Illinois, just on the other side of the river here.
Or you could be listening on the Odyssey app anywhere around the world.
But if you're listening and tuning in from Missouri, know that Medicaid, when it comes to Missouri, doesn't cover long-term care when it comes to your home. So if you want to stay in your house for the rest of your life and have someone come in and do home health care for you, there is no coverage in Medicaid for that. You have to go into a facility that has a Medicaid bed available for you after you financially qualify for Medicaid in order to take advantage of the plan. If you want to be a little bit more in control of your long-term care needs for the future, because more often than not, when we're talking to people about long-term care, their wishes are to stay in their home as long as they possibly can, or to go into this specific place. If that's your wish, you're going to need some different type of coverage for long-term care beyond Medicaid. And that could be a multitude of different ways that you can cover it. You can do what's called self-insuring. Spend down the assets you've saved for the future towards that care. Or you can push the onus off onto an insurance company.
And when you look at a spend down, if you're self-insuring and spending that down, we talked earlier about Roth conversions and traditional versus Roth, IRAs, 401ks. Just think about this. If you have all of your money or most of your money in traditional form where you haven't paid tax for it, and you need long-term care and you're not covered by, you haven't pushed the onus off to an insurance company, you're going to be paying higher taxes to get that kind of care that you need.
So if you want to push off the onus onto an insurance company, there's traditional long-term care that people have been using for years and years. It's hard to qualify for. It's very costly. And if you don't use it, you lose it. Or there are new ways to qualify for long-term care through life insurance as well, where the money stays in the family no matter what. And if you need the care, you can use tax-free funds and spend down your death benefit from a life insurance plan while you're alive. If you don't need the care, that life insurance money is going to go to your beneficiaries tax-free. If you want to know all the different ways you can cover long-term care and what really works best in your plan, we'd love to take you through the Purpose Approach. The Purpose Approach is the name of how we help you come up with a financial plan for your future that's going to cover all aspects of your retirement, including long-term care. So we're going to start with you. What do you want to do with your time? And what's going to feed your soul? Then we help you build your entire financial strategy surrounding that purpose for you. And we'd love to get started. You just simply need to give us a buzz or head over to our website, but give us a call at 314-207-6211, 314-207-6211, and let's start that Purpose Approach for you. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you have control over your financial future and access to the type of care that you'd like if you need long-term care, and access to the type of financial planning tools you might be able to utilize to put yourself in a better financial situation.
Heidi, Gerry, thank you. Thank you for the education and the information this weekend. We are back next weekend, but before we get out of here, take us home.
Every day is a holiday.
Life is short. Laugh hard.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.
Tax preparation and tax advisory services are offered through Ricken Financial. These services are not offered by IPW and are not subject to investment advisor requirements. These services referenced are an outside business activity not offered through or supervised by IPW.